Hey, what's happening? This is your host Tinto, and before we get started on this weekend's episode, I'd like to give a shout out to Tichitire Bogus for your generous contribution this week. You are one amazing person. Thank you so much. I can't express my gratitude enough. If you'd like to give the podcast in a similar manner, please head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/feeling station and give as your spirit leads. Remember, there is nothing that is too small to support the podcast that you have grown to love. With that out of the way, let's get straight into this weekend's episode.
Is that a breakup? I think we have a situation right here. On the feeling station.
Hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Not much. How are you?
I am doing very well, and I'm happy you confirmed it was today because I wasn't sure. I looked at my calendar. I'm like, it looks like we're supposed to be recording an episode. So when you were like, I think so, I was like, okay, yeah, we're definitely doing this. How have you been?
Yeah. I can't complain too much. I mean, I'm feeling like having a lazy day, so yeah, not doing much.
That for me is damn good because I know you're going to give me a nice story in a nice, chilled, relaxed environment, right?
I hope so.
Welcome to the Feeling Station.
Thank you.
For those listening to this podcast for the first time, it touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with the view to give you lessons from my guest's experience. And one of the reasons why the podcast is doing well is because I do my best to keep you anonymous, which brings me to the fun part. The part that I give you the name you're going to use for the duration of this episode. Now, I've gone down to Southern Africa. It's a really easy name, and it's Guguletu.
Okay, I like that
Right,
name.
which is used in South Africa, Zimbabwe, sometimes occasionally in Botswana and Zambia. And what that name means is pride, a source of pride or treasure.
Yeah,
Yeah, does that resonate with you at all?
it is.
I'll be
It does.
surprised
Yeah,
if it didn't.
Yeah.
And what are you going to call the guy that we're going to talk about today?
Well, I have decided to also stick with the African continent.
Yes.
It's not really a name as such, but more a title.
A title?
And I'm going to call him Oga.
Oh. Now, out of curiosity, is this by any chance a story about a Nigerian man?
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. Surprise. You got me there in my head. I'm thinking, we're going to be hearing a fresh story about a Nigerian man. But no, it's okay. I like that. So this is about Gugu and Oga.
Uh-huh.
The second reason why the podcast is doing great is there are real life lessons that people learn from the story you're going to share today.
Yeah.
So, what would you like them to learn?
Sometimes things aren't meant to be, and it's okay. Don't stress.
Just
Walk
like that.
away. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
it's okay. Let it go. Be free.
That's not an easy thing to do, though, because I think humans by nature are not designed to accept failure.
Yeah, but it's definitely something that you need to learn to be successful in life. You need to learn to accept failures.
So sometimes things aren't meant to be, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Have you got a second lesson?
I guess. Enjoy what's enjoyable. Leave what's not.
Hey, you're giving me nice lessons, man. So the second one is enjoy what's enjoyable and leave what's not.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Have you got a third lesson?
No, I can't think of one at the moment.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we'll leave it at 2.
Well, what normally happens is that some lessons creep out of the story anyway. So I'm happy for us to continue as
Actually,
with this
I've
if you
thought
are.
of a third one now.
Oh, yeah. Hey, here we go. Oga.
It's not enough to just ask the right questions. Just you need to really listen to the answer and read between the lines.
Hey. Okay. So I'll replay that for you again. So it's not enough to ask just the right questions. Listen to the answers and read in between the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking this. Because all too often what happens is people don't ask the right questions in the first place, and then assumptions end up being made, things end up being misinterpreted. So I'm interested in seeing how this is going to pan out in your situation.
Yeah.
So let's get into it then. Gugu, where did you meet Oga? And why did you decide, no, this is the guy for me?
So I met Oga in church. Surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny. There's been a huge theme about churches lately on this podcast. I don't know what these church people are doing. But okay, you met him in church, yes?
Yeah. So he wasn't a guy that I saw and I was like, oh yes, him,
Mm,
definitely.
mm-hmm.
He was just one of the other people in church. A nice person in terms of whenever as youth we would hang out and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, he's a nice person. Was never interested. In terms of looks, I was just like, nah, not for me.
I'm going to tell you something.
Go on.
This has happened one too many times. Guys who are described as nice don't usually go too far. And it's the same for girls who are described as nice. Relationships that have
But you
said,
know
"Oh yeah, she was a
what?
nice girl, but oh, he was a nice guy, but," and this sounds like one of those situations. What was nice about him? What's a nice guy? What was nice about Olga?
Okay, as in just in terms of getting on with people, just a people person. You could laugh with him. You could just easy guy to talk to. Is yeah,
So is
what I
that the
would say.
reason maybe you weren't attracted to him initially?
Um, I don't know. I think the looks was the thing that was the thing for me that I was like, no, I do not find him good looking, attractive at all.
Okay, okay.
That was just yeah. So he just became a brother.
It sounds like it happened very quickly as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I just never
Mm,
thought about him that way.
okay, okay.
Yeah. But then, the more I talk to him, the more I start to think, I think he's interested in me. And I'm thinking, oh dear, but I don't really find him attractive. But then I thought to myself, they always say, good guys finish last, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. Let me give him a chance. Looks will grow on me.
So you're already thinking about this thing I've just spoken about to say that the nice guys never have it good and
Yeah.
the nice guys finish. Wow. So if this was playing in your mind already, why did you even decide to entertain him?
Because to be honest, I've dated other guys who are like the really good, the one that you meet and you're like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
And they had done me dirty. And I'm like, you know what? The nice guy looks at things that they're not the most essential part of a relationship for me. I'm like, you know what? The looks will grow on me.
Guys, Ah, let's not lie. Looks matter, and
No,
we
no,
can't
no.
say
Not
they
that they
don't
don't
matter to all
matter.
of
They
us.
don't. They're not. They're not the thing that matters the most. Is what I'm saying. Not that they don't matter. They're not the thing that matters the
So
most.
here's a question for you: what attracts you to a man? Because this is about attraction. I'm attracted by looks.
For me, the attraction. Do you know what? I'm not about the looks. Yes, if I look at you and I'm like, oh, they're good looking. Yeah, that helps. But that doesn't always lead me to be like, okay, let me get to know them.
Yeah. So my
For me, I
question to you is,
always.
what attracts you?
What attracts me is I first get to know people. When I'm friends with somebody, that's what the getting to know their character in terms of their how they're driven, what they really enjoy in life, the kind of person that they are is what really gets me going with a person.
Okay. So attracted to
Yeah.
people's personalities first,
Yeah.
and then if the personality checks out, then the looks don't seem that bad.
Yeah.
Ah, it's true. And they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, all right. Continue with Olga.
Yeah, so I just thought to myself, you know what? If he is interested, I'll give him a chance and we'll
Mm,
see how this goes. So we just keep talking in terms of like in church when you're meeting as the youth and stuff. And he asked for my number and I'm like, okay, when he asked for my number was more of a we're organizing a trip, we're all going somewhere. He drove at the time and um majority of us at that point, we were like what early 20s.
mm.
So majority of us youth didn't have cars, didn't yeah. As much as some of us had licenses, yeah, that kind of money for buying a car at that age was not
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he had a car, a very nice car, which I initially assumed was probably his mother's car or his dad's car or something. Because for me, when you ever saw me driving, it was my parents' car. So I just assumed that at that age we don't all really have cars. We're driving our parents' cars.
Mm.
Um, he initially asked for my number when we were all arranging this trip, and he was arranging transport and stuff for people, and I was one of the people that was going to go in his car. So that's how he initially got my number. But
Mm-hmm.
as the texts are going back and forth, he starts getting a bit more flirty, asking me a lot more personal questions about, what do you look for in a guy? And eventually got to the point of I like you. And I'm like, okay, I like your character so far. And yeah, I think we could try something.
Okay,
And so that's how it all
so
began.
he was drawn to about the same thing that you were, which is not so much the looks, but the person. You know, the character, the personality.
Oh no, when I was saying that I like the person that you are, so we could do that was my
Oh,
response
that
to
was your
him
response.
saying that,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
So what did he say he liked about you?
For him, he was like, looks. He was like, I saw you, and I was like, yes, absolutely, would like me a piece of that one.
Mm.
That's yeah. He was very honest with that.
How did that make you feel?
I mean, I didn't mind. I was just like, okay, it's a bonus to be found attractive,
Yeah.
a very big bonus. I mean, who wants to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't find them attractive? Nobody.
True.
Yeah. So for me, I was like, yay, box ticked. If that bit is
But you were running that risk. You know, you just said who wants to be in a relationship with someone that you don't find attractive, but you didn't find them attractive from day one.
yeah, but for me, I'm like, yeah, that will grow. If I'm
Okay.
attracted to the character of who you are, the
Mm-hmm.
looks don't really
Oh, I
matter that
see what you
much.
mean. So
Yeah,
for you, attraction is not really just physical attraction. You can be
yeah,
attracted to somebody's mind, somebody's
yeah,
persona,
yeah,
drawn to somebody's aura.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So he makes this move. Hey, it sounds like you guys are like, yeah, I like you too. And then what happened?
Yeah, we just start talking about, relationships, what we want out of a relationship, our future plans and stuff. And for me, the attraction really grew at that point because, like I'm saying, the drive that a man has, for
Mm,
me, that ticks the bigger. Once that ticks the biggest box, that's it. I'm done. I'm in. You sold me. And he was very mature for somebody within my age group. We were only like a few months age gap, and normally they
mm-hmm,
say, girls mature so much faster than guys, and
mm-hmm,
unfortunately found that to be true quite a lot. So it was really, really nice to be like, okay, we're pretty much the same age, but you've got your life together. You know what you want. You've got this plan. There's everything is sort of in place for you. You know where you are going. This is amazing. So for me, I was like, this is amazing. I'm in. I'm on board fully. Let's go. Yeah. So as part of the discussions about the people that we are and what we want in relationships and stuff, um, we talk about like previous relationships. So I'm like, so what are your previous relationships? What were they like, and what caused the end of those relationships? And he was like, you know what? The last relationship that was I was in was quite a long term one. It was one where everyone was expecting us to get married, but I messed up in that relationship and she broke up with me. And I'm like, okay, when you say you messed up, what happened? He's like,
yeah.
I cheated on her.
Mm,
And I was like, oh, okay, that's problematic. And he's like, no, but I know that, I shouldn't have done that. I have learned my lesson. I have really been burned by that. And that is a path I will never, ever go down again, blah, blah, blah.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. Didn't dig too much. And just sort of asked how long ago was this? It was like under a year ago
Mm.
that they had broken up. I think I'd say about 8 months-ish or so.
You know, one of the things I'd be keen on asking is why did you feel the need to cheat?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, that, it's not just enough to ask
Mm.
questions, read between the lines, look deeper with all of these things that you're asking about.
So
So
did
it
you ask him
wasn't
that
just,
question?
no, I didn't. Because at that time, I'm like, oh, he's been honest. He didn't have to tell me that he cheated. He must be, honest. He's right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, he asked me all the questions in terms of what I want in life, what's important for me and all of those things. And, we're like, yeah, let's do this. I think we would really work well together.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, as part of those conversations, I talk about how I'm a private person. I don't like everybody being all up in my business. And he was like, absolutely, I agree with that. So things like social media, blah, 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 we'll do those things once we are married. Like
Mm-hmm.
perfection. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this relationship we agreed was a very, very private, like extremely private. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't tell people for the first like 2 months or so of that we were in this relationship. Naturally, I'd say pretty. Do you know what? Most people didn't know up until the relationship ended.
Ah,
it
like
wasn't. It wasn't a long relationship. It was only like 4 or 5 months.
I get the difference between being private and being secretive.
Yeah,
But what did you feel your relationship was, private or secret?
a bit of both. A lot of both actually. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of secret to me. if you
Yeah.
guys had a relationship and broke up and nobody knew. I get the whole social media one bit to say that you don't put your stuff out there. Yeah, I get that. Some people just choose not to do that. But for people to be in your circles on the ground and they don't know still,
It wasn't everyone in our circles that didn't know. They were just like the really inner circle are the people that knew about the relationship.
but the inner circle would talk to their inner circle, which might be outside yours. So
I
this,
mean,
unless you guys told them not to talk about it,
we did.
this is
So
the point. That I don't think it was private. I feel it was secret. Now, whose idea was it to make it secret? His or yours?
it was my idea.
Why?
And I guess it partially stems in that I am not sure about this because that physical side of it, the physical attraction, isn't there. And I'm hoping it will grow, but I cannot guarantee that it will grow. So this may not go very
Ooh.
far.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so this relationship, like, it was a really good relationship. Like, it was really good until it wasn't, and when it wasn't was the
I
end.
don't know. I don't know if it
So
really was, because you're keeping this guy's secret because you're not sure whether you're physically attracted to him. Yeah, you like his character, you like his personality. He's growing on you, but you've got one eye open to say something is lacking here.
yeah, I guess in a way, but I mean, the relationship wise, we got on really well. The banter was amazing. The fun, just hanging around with him, and eventually with the few friends within like sort of the inner circle,
Mm,
that was always just really amazing. I would come over to his house, he would come over to mine. We spent so much time together and it was always fun, always amazing. We could disagree on something and have a conversation about, which for me is a big thing because I do not
mm.
do arguments. I don't do let's have a fight, let's shout at each other. I cannot deal with that. So for me to find somebody who I'm like, okay, we can disagree and have a conversation about this. This is amazing. I'm like, yes, I'm in 100% in now.
So let's talk intimacy.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Oh, that was like very quickly into the relationship. I'd say like a maximum like of a month into the relationship. We did start having sex with each other, and that was at the point where I was like, you know what? I really, really like this guy. Yeah, the looks aren't the most amazing thing about him, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I like him enough. I'm attracted to him as a person enough that I find him attractive minus even if the looks aren't the thing that I look at and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing, guy.
Okay. Reason why I
Yeah.
asked that is because you were keeping the secret because you weren't very sure whether you'd be attracted to him, and I thought this physical attraction thing is going to be such a hindrance you weren't even going to get intimate. But it doesn't
No,
feel
we
like that was big and of an issue there.
no,
So
that wasn't.
so when you became physical with him because you're attracted to him like that, did you now open up the door to have it more private than it was secret? Because by
Yeah,
now, I'm assuming you're now a bit more comfortable and a bit more sure about where this is and how you feel.
yeah, definitely. A lot more people started getting to know about it, but it was still more where people are kind of, when people are kind of squinting, kind of looking at you like, are those
Mm.
guys together or are they not?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, and yeah, it wasn't like we are going around confirming to everybody.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
those who are in our inner circle are aware. We're not just, telling everyone. If you want to find out, come and speak to us. We will let you
Okay,
know.
right.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
yeah. So I guess it was a very short relationship. We just literally spent a lot of time together. Part of a big part of that relationship, he was in the process of buying his first house,
Mm-hmm.
and he eventually bought that house. I really got involved with meeting like family and meeting some of his friends, helping him move into the house. Like we got to a point where when he was signing for his house, he wanted to put my name down as
Uh,
co-owner of this house. I was like, don't do that. Don't do that. As much as this relationship is amazing
yeah.
and things are going well, until we sign on that dotted line and I am Mrs. Oga, you cannot do that. And he's like, but we're going there. And I'm like, I know we are going there, but when we get there, these are things that can be changed.
Uh-uh, uh-uh,
Don't
uh-uh,
don't 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 do that.
uh-uh. What was your reservation for for that. You had nothing to lose.
I know I'd got nothing to lose, but he had a lot to lose. I'm
Yeah,
not a person who's
yeah, but that's
who's
his,
like.
yeah, but that's his problem.
It's also, as somebody, if you love somebody, their problem is your problem.
So you are now in love.
I was getting to that point where I'm like, you know what? I really like this guy. I can see myself married to him. I can see, yeah, I can see us having a future together.
So if you're seeing a future, you're seeing yourself married, and he's saying to you, "This is where we're going. I'm doing this now. Join me on this journey." Wouldn't the better thing to say be, "Okay, yeah, let's do it," because we're heading in the same goals, unless you still had some reservations?
No, for me, I was like, you know what? Let's make it official. If we're going that way, let's meet parents. Let's do the whole introductions when everybody is aware and we are really going in that way. Then I'll sign on that line and say, yes, let me own half of your house.
But that line is not open for that long. A house purchase is not going to wait 3, 4 months to organize aunties and uncles, in different countries, different locations. That could take weeks.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, you know what, do this now. We can change these things later. You can still change home ownership and stuff like
But it's
that
more
much later.
expensive. It's more expensive. You're now submitting a fresh application where they're going to assess both your guys' eligibility at a different stage.
Yeah,
And there
but
might
I
be a
don't know.
change
For
in
me, I just,
circumstances, which might mean it might be a little more difficult. God forbid, he might have lost his job. And then when they do that assessment again, he could lose everything.
then we just leave it in here in that name. I mean, for me, what name it's in doesn't really mean anything to me. As far as if the relationship is stable and you're on the same page, who earns what, who owns what doesn't. For me, I'm always like it's a no brainer if that makes any sense. And I don't feel like
So if it means nothing, why are we making it such a big deal not to be on it?
because the relationship is not a permanent one yet. As much as I was saying to you that I want it to be, but we are not there yet. We haven't said let's do this. We haven't had this discussion of let's get married. Let's look. We've brushed across it in terms of yeah, my future plans. I would like to get married in the future. It hadn't gone to the point of I would like to get married to you in the future. It's as much as you've had these discussions of my plans. Yes, as a person, this is the trajectory I see my life going. It's a whole different thing to then say, I see my life going that way with you, nobody else, you.
So one of the things that you said you like the most about this guy is he's very focused, very driven. He knows what he wants and he goes for it and he gets it.
Yeah,
He's getting a house and he knows that he wants you to be on it because he wants you to be his wife.
yeah,
So he's very clear what he's doing. He hasn't got to that stage because it's not something he was thinking about before you came to the picture, and he was thinking about the house before you came into the picture.
mm-hmm.
So now that you're in the picture, the house is still going on, but he's now shifting goals to say, hey, because you're going to be mine soon, let's do this now because we can. And it's easier now.
I don't know. For me, it felt very impulsive. It felt like he hadn't thought it through.
And that
That's why
scared
I was a
you.
bit, yeah. It for me, it just felt very impulsive in that moment because it wasn't even a let's have this discussion before we get there. It's oh, I'm now at the place, I'm signing the papers, and you happen to be with me. Do you want to sign the papers with me? It wasn't like a prior discussion prior to this
I
point.
feel like you're holding back. I really do. But honestly, what reservations did you have about this man? Forget the house.
Do you know what?
What reservations did you have about this man at this point?
I honestly cannot tell you that I had any reservations. Um, Directly to do with him. So maybe there's something that I subconsciously, my mind was like, we're not 100% here. And I can't pinpoint to say, this is the thing that I looked at and I was like, no,
Okay, so what does 100% look like?
I don't know.
So you don't know what 100% looks like, and you don't know what it is that you're not sure about this whole thing. And then one of your lessons is it's not enough just to ask the right questions, but you're not even explaining or asking the questions. So where were you as Google, where were you going with this?
To be honest with you, when I got into this relationship, it was just okay, let's give it a go. I'm not like, I wasn't at that point where I was like, I am looking for my husband. I wasn't being very intentional when I got into that relationship in terms of, like I'm saying that, I knew that, what, one day I would like to get married. One day I would like a family. I would like the house. I would like this and stuff like that. I hadn't I wasn't at that age because I think I was around 22 or so. I wasn't at that age where I was like, let's buy a house, let's get married next week, let's have kids, let's do all of this. I'm just like, let's have fun. This relationship is fun. We go out, we party, we go to church, we go to this, we do this. We're having fun. Let's continue having fun. Where did the seriousness come from?
Interesting. So for you, this was just a party.
I guess to some extent, yeah.
Eish. Yeah, ne? Okay.
You sound hurt. To the core.
Yeah. I mean, this guy has made it very clear, that I'm into you, I'm attracted to you. I see a future with you. I want to start building that future with you now. But Konapo, you just like, nah, this is just a gig. I don't just having a good time. And
Yeah, because like I'm saying, we hadn't had those serious conversations. I think if it had gone, if things had started off with those conversations to say, you know what, I am now at the point where I'm thinking of my life with you. Not we are sitting in the estate agent's office. We've not spoken about this. Let's sign your name on the lease. No.
Okay, right.
I think if it had been done differently,
Yeah.
my response would have been different.
Different, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's talking about the house. He wants to get you one. You say no, and then what happens?
He was like, "No, you're making sense. No, it's sensible what you're saying. Let's not do that." And he signs. He gets the papers. He gets the keys to the house. He moves in. I help him fix up the house and everything. And then I think like a few weeks later, I meet his mum, where he's going to pick up his mum, and he's like, "I'm going to pick up my mum. I want you to come with me. I want you to meet her." And I was like, okay, this is a strange way to meet a mum, like a possible mother-in-law, but sure, whatever, let's go. And we go, we pick her up, and she was okay, but I could tell, I was like, she doesn't like me. And it's like, no, why do you think she doesn't like you? And I was like, just the conversation, when somebody seems forced to make conversation with you, that's how it felt. And he was like, no, I'm sure she'll be fine. I'm sure she likes you. And I was like, okay, whatever. So anyway, he takes me home. A few days later, I then asked him, I'm like, did you have the conversation with your mum about what she thought about me? And he's like, yeah, we did. And I was like, I bet you she said she didn't like me. And he was like, he kind of tried to, I don't know, sugarcoat it a little bit. And he's like, well, it's not that she didn't like you. She just thought, yeah, you were just a little bit too quiet, a bit too reserved and stuff. And I'm like, I'm a possible daughter-in-law. What kind of jumping around, like madness was I meant to do? Yeah. And I was like, no, she didn't like me. She just is finding something that she can try and pinpoint to it, and that's it. There's something, I don't know what it is about me, but she just didn't like me. And he was like, no, I think you're reading too much into it and stuff. But yeah, that was one of the things. And then after meeting his mum, I then have a conversation with my mum to say, there's this guy that I'm dating. I've met his mum, and I thought maybe it's time for me to tell you about him, And she was like, okay, where's he from and stuff. She starts asking all these questions, and I give her the answers, and she's like, okay. And I'm like, what? You seem to have some kind of reservations about this. She was like, well, the one thing I know about men from that side of the world, when their mother says something, if it doesn't matter how nice a person that they are, they can change, like completely switch up on you, like without warning, because their mother has said. So the kind of culture that they come from, the mother has the final say of all of this, regardless of how good your relationship is with this person when no one else is around. So just bear that in mind. And I was like, okay, sure. Okay. I was just like, okay, take a note. And I was like, okay, that's it. And I would say that's when the end began. I mean, in terms of the relationship between me and him, it was still great. It was still fun, banter and everything. But anyway, we then arranged this trip with the youth. Like, we're going to go to this other church not too far from here is having this going on, and I was aware that it was the same church that his ex-girlfriend used to go to. And he's like, how do you feel about going there and stuff like that? I'm like, I'm fine about it. Let's just go. We're going as a group. It's not like we're going for dinner with their family or something, or
Mm.
to an event where I'm going to have to be interacting with her, like on a one-on-one situation. So I'm absolutely fine. It's going to be an absolutely massive event. May not even run into her at all.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, that's fine. So anyway, we all go to this place. We get there, and I mean, generally, when we were in church, I used to have to do certain things. He was doing certain things. We generally didn't really sit together or do much together when we were in church.
Mm.
So on this particular day, when we arrived at this other church, although it's not our home church, it was he still knew some people there. He was helping out with stuff, so he left, and I didn't see anything, didn't think anything about it, and I was like, okay, sure, fine,
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you later. And then as we're just sitting, when you look, like, you're just kind of scanning the room and your eyes just stop and you don't realize why your head stops. Like, the message is sent to your brain before you've computed what's going on.
Okay.
And I stop and I'm looking and I'm like, hold on. That's Olga, right? Yes,
Mm.
it is. And I'm like, sorry, the girl that he's sitting next to, that is his ex-girlfriend. Whoa, what's going on here? And I was just like, okay, whatever.
How did
That's
you
a
know? How
conversation.
did you know it was his ex-girlfriend?
I had seen her before because the time
Where?
that we got on Facebook, the time that we got together on his Facebook, there was still like pictures and stuff of them from before. And then he deleted those when we started talking. He deleted those
Mm-hmm.
off his Facebook, not because I asked him anything. He was just like, you know what? I hadn't thought about going through my Facebook. Don't really use it much. Now that I'm thinking about it, I need to go and delete some stuff that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I knew what she looked like based off from pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm like, oh, they're sitting next to each other there. That's interesting. We shall have that conversation later. Anyway, the day goes by and this place where we were was close to the beach. So after church in the afternoon, people are like, oh, let's all go to the beach. We all go to the beach. And it's like a walking distance. So we all just walked. And he was walking with a group of her and her friends. And I'm thinking, okay, this is strange. What is going on here? We get to the beach. These people start taking pictures together. Like, as in, they're holding hands, they're taking pictures, they literally spend, and then they walk off hand in hand, like going for like a stroll on the beach. And
Ooh,
I'm just
who's
there,
hand in
like,
hand?
the Oga and his ex girlfriend.
Wait a minute. Hold on a whole minute. Did
Yeah,
Oga knew you were there?
yeah, 100%. I came there with him.
So,
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, what? Oh,
but you see, you put yourself in this situation
How?
because you chose to keep it secret.
You know what?
So,
I guess in a way, yeah.
so all these people aren't even clocking that you're an item.
Yeah, there's a few people, a few of our friends that knew, and they came to me and they're like, are you seeing what we are seeing, or
Mm.
you just haven't noticed? And I'm like, no, I've seen what you have seen. And they're like, okay, and at what point are we rolling up our sleeves?
Exactly.
We don't,
Yeah.
And I was just like, for what? And they were just like, hold on, that is your man. I was like, no, he's clearly not. Can you not see whose man he is? And they were just not understanding. I'm just like, guys, I've not been in this relationship long enough for me to think, you know what, let me go fight with people. And generally, I'm not a fighter. I don't fight for things like that. I'm not a. I am feisty in my own way,
I
but
know,
definitely
man.
causing a scene is not
Wait,
it.
wait. When you would describe him to the people who knew about you guys, would you describe him as my boyfriend?
Yeah,
Yeah, so he's yours.
yeah. I can
So
I can try and lay claim to him, but the point is, at this moment in time, when there is a situation when there is me, there is another girl. The reason why he's not walking hand in hand with me and he's walking hand in hand with the other girl shows where he is placing me. Therefore, why am I stressing myself, going to fight with somebody, making a scene, making myself a part of something that will be talked about for ages after this point? For what? What really am I fighting for? For this person to come back to me for what? I don't want him back at that point.
Ah, Google, you didn't want Olga from day one. So I feel like I feel like it really didn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's definitely was a part of it that I was like, you know what? I'm not about to argue with you. I'm not about to cause a scene. There is no need for me to be part of this madness. For what? Me and you have only been in this relationship for about what? 4 or 5 months. Who am I fighting? Why am I fighting them? For what? And then I started replaying like the
Mm.
conversations that we've had about why did you break up with your ex and what do you feel about them and stuff. And thinking about the way that he responded, they were still very much you know what, if she forgave me, she was the person, she's the one that got away. If she somehow gave me a chance, I would be in there as quickly as possible. When I
Mm.
started replaying those sort of conversations, that's the message that I was like, actually, he was saying this, but not in as many words.
Right.
So at that point, I'm like, okay, he's got his opportunity. He's gone. He's like, yes, I've got my opportunity. I'm going back.
So
So I
was
was
he
just
go?
like,
So was he going back? What then happened? So they were walking along the beach, hand in hand.
yeah, I mean, the event comes to an end. We all leave. He came with us, so we get in the car. So we were in a car with 3 other people. And while we're in the car, he's driving, and one of his, well, not his friend as such, one of the people from church, they're like older youth, so like, you know, like late 20s married and stuff. And the couple are looking at us, they're like, you guys would make a good couple. And I'm like, uh, don't bring this conversation up right now.
This this
Because
is the wrong time for that
this
kind
is
of
the
thing.
wrong time. So I just keep quiet when they say this. And then
Mm-hmm.
they're like, and then they turn to me and they're like, Gugu, don't you think Oga would be an amazing husband? And I was like, "Ooh, how do I answer this and remain diplomat
Calm,
without
yeah.
saying all of this stuff?" So I just said, you know what? I've only known him for about, 5, 6 months. I
Mm-hmm.
can't give a comprehensive answer on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left it at that. And they all kind of looked at me like, okay, that was so diplomatic, so very, what is going on here? And I was like, allow me to keep a straight face. Allow me not to explode for
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but they changed the subject, started talking about other things. Anyway, we dropped the other people off, and then now he's driving to drop me off home. I said nothing. Like, even the point when he came back for us to all get in the car and leave and whatever, I did not utter 2 words to this guy
Mm.
at all.
Mm.
So he gets to my house. I open the door. I get out of the car. I shut the door and I start walking away. And then he shouts from the car. He's like, "You're not going to say anything." So I turn around and I say, "About what?" And then
Mm.
he's out there looking at me like, okay, he didn't really think through the rest of the conversation from that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I turn and I start walking again. So he decides that he's going to switch off the car. He's going to follow me. And, he feels that we must have a conversation about something. The guilt, I guess, is eating him up. And he's
Mm.
like, I need to have this conversation with you. So anyway, he follows me upstairs. We go into the house, and I lived with my cousin at that time. So my cousin sees us. She's like, "Oh, hey guys," blah blah. She knows him. I walk in. I'm like, "Hi guys, how was your day?" Blah blah blah. And I walk upstairs. I go to my room and I close the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just there downstairs. He stays and talks to my cousin. He's like, "I really really messed up. She's not talking to me. Can you help me? Like, can you help me talk to her?" And my cousin, not knowing what happened, just assuming that we had an argument about anything, she comes upstairs and she's like, "Well, what happened? Just talk to him. Surely there's nothing that's that bad that you feel like, you can't talk to him. At least, agree a time when you'll be a bit calmer and you guys can talk to each other and blah blah blah, blah and sort this out." And I was like, "There's nothing to sort out. There's no conversation to have. Tell him that he can go to his house. He's free to go and live his life." And she's like, "You're gonna break up with him with not having had a conversation with him at all." And I'm like, "There is no conversation to have." And she just did not understand. Like when I spoke to her afterwards, she was like, I've never seen you seething silently like that in my life. You were pissed. And I was like, yeah, I was. I was really pissed. But, why should I make a scene? Why should I stress myself? I'm like, I will get over my anger, but, you can go. Anyway, he eventually leaves when he realizes that I'm really not going to talk to him, because I literally, even when I decided that I'm hungry, I went downstairs, got myself food. I was walking past him as if he was not there.
Wow.
I was just like, I cannot, because there is a very thin thread that's holding it all together. And if this thread snaps, one of us is leaving this place in a coffin.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just leave me be. Just leave me be. He eventually left. And so I told my cousin the whole story. And she's like, what? And you let him leave? And I'm like, it's just like, you didn't even say anything. And then her brother as well lived with us. And he was like, sorry, what? You should have said something. I could have beat him up. And I was like, that is exactly why I didn't say it.
Okay.
Because all of us would love to do the same thing to him. But where will that leave us? We're the ones that are going to end up with a criminal record. We're the ones going to, it's not going to go anywhere good. And besides, what is it that I'm fighting for? This is a very short-lived relationship. It's now done. End of. Let's move on. It was fun while it lasted. Let's move on. Let's live our lives. And they were just not understanding. I'm just like, Anyway, he calls me the next day, and I was a lot calmer there. And I answer the phone, and he starts apologizing. He's like, "No, I'm really sorry that you had to find out that way. I've been wanting to tell you, and I didn't know how to tell you." And I'm here thinking, my guy, we've only been in a relationship for how many weeks? Well, it felt like weeks at that point, but how many months? What do you mean you've been meaning to tell me? You've been wanting to tell me? How long has this been going on? What the hell? And he was like, oh, after I spoke to my mom, she was like so adamant that, she doesn't think that you're the one woman for me, and that she still thinks I should, get back with my ex. That was so close to marriage at that point, and blah, blah, blah. So I started talking to her, and she was willing to forgive me, and, things just snowballed, and I didn't know how to then come back and tell you all of this has been happening in the background and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. It's just like, so you've been busy doing this for like the last month of this like very short relationship. And what you didn't even want to say, you couldn't even say, when I was saying to you that she didn't like me, you could have said, yeah, she didn't really like you. And you know what? I can't do anything that's against what my mother says.
Wow.
So I'm not going to do that. Continue. You could have said that at that point. You didn't have to drag it. You didn't have to do all of this. You didn't have to embarrass me in front of people either. Like, what was that? But yeah, anyway, he's like, no, but my heart is still with you, blah, blah, blah. This is only because, you know what it's like in my culture. If my mom says something, I can't go against her and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, actually, I know some people from your culture who have gone against what their parents have said, and
they're doing fine.
Their parents are still alive. They were angry for a little while, and now they're the ones walking around here proudly showing us their grandbabies from this daughter-in-law that they initially didn't want. So, people get over these things. If it's what you wanted, this is what you would do. But hey, it's just looking at the things that you said at the beginning. You've gone to what you wanted. You're just now trying to placate and, make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, honestly, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we should meet up and talk face to face. I really need to apologize. And I was just like, okay, fine. If you would like to apologize face to face, who am I to say no? Because he was doing quite well at the time. The places that we used to go were amazing places. Everything was paid for when I was with him. And I'm like, sure, why not? Let's do freelance.
Oh, wow.
Goodbye. Let's do a nice free fancy lunch. I'm good. Let's go. He took me out for lunch. And then after he took me out for lunch, I've got no idea how, but then the girlfriend then finds out that there is this other person. She and her friends call me and they're like, well, why would you do that? You're such a home wrecker, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, please pause, rewind.
Where did they get your number from?
I don't know. So I guess wherever she went through his phone, and I guess because the initial reason that they broke up is because he cheated. She obviously still has that,
Snooping behavior.
doubt, yeah, about him. And so she's probably decided to snoop. She's seen messages and whatever. And she's like, stay away from my man, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, first of all, your man came to me and this is what has been happening. So if you look at it from a different perspective, you are possibly the homewrecker in this situation. Because I was here when you came along. Yes, it may have been the second time around, but I was already here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but she was like, she was just not having it. She was just like, nope, I have decided that I am marrying this one, and there's no one who's going to stand in my way. Like, oh, okay, whatever. But anyway, I was like, you can have him. I'm not fighting you for him. And I'm sure if you looked at the messages, you've seen the ones where I'm saying, he can go and have he can go and live his life, and I don't want any relationship with him. Even if he were to break up with you now,
yeah,
I still don't want him back.
Yeah.
Stuff. But yeah, she was just on one, and she's like, actually, maybe she then changes her tune, and she's like, we should talk about this a bit more, because as much as I want to marry him, I still have my doubts. This may be something that will happen all the way throughout our marriage, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I'd rather not meet up with you, because right now you first of all called me, you're threatening me, you've got your friends with you and blah, 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 and you're already choosing the place where we need to meet, and it's not in my area. It's not. I was like, no, I'm not meeting up with you. Just to know that if you're fighting for somebody with your man, that person isn't me. If there's anybody else that is going to take your man from you, that person will never be me. She's like, okay, fine. And yeah, that was done. But then this guy still continues to call me after we've had the goodbye. Let's talk about it. Let's explain where I'm coming from and blah, blah, blah. He still every so often will ring and be like, oh, how are you doing? How are things going and stuff? But then at some point he just stops ringing. And that's how it pretty much ended, where he just stopped ringing. And then like a few months down the line, he rings and he's like, oh, I just wanted to tell you, I didn't want you to find out from anywhere else.
We're expecting a child.
From me. But no, that they're engaged. Now they're officially engaged. And I'm like, oh, great. Congratulations. Man. I mean, you didn't have to come and tell me all of this. He's just like, no, I know, but I did you so wrong. I just, I'm trying to do the little right that I can. I'm like, okay, whatever. Go live your life. Change my number at that point. And then a few years later, I'd moved out of the area. A few years later, I get a call from this number that I don't know. And then he's like, oh, I'm really sorry, don't hang up. It's me, so-and-so. And I'm like, where did you get my number from? I changed my number specifically for this reason.
Oh, guys, got the right people in the right places.
And he's like, no, I got your number from so-and-so, like a mutual friend that we had who had gone through a rough breakup, like lost weight from like size 20 to like a size 6, kind of lost weight. And he's like, no, I saw how much it messed her up and blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to call and really apologize and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, in all of your apologies and all of this and trying to make it right, what you're trying to do is appease your conscience.
Yeah. It's interesting.
If you were actually trying to make it right, your wife, they were married at this point. And I'm like, your wife, you would be able to tell your wife the full details of what happened. And I'm like, can you tell your wife the full details of everything? He was like, And I'm like, exactly. So save your apology, lose my number yet again, and just never call me ever again.
You did well, because I was just thinking the same. When he kept ringing and he's saying, oh, yeah, I've seen what it's done to someone. No, you really just want to make your conscience free.
Yeah.
Aish. Did he make any phone calls to you after that point?
No. He has not made any attempts. I've bumped into him and his wife at like an event before, and she just seemed like she wanted to like run and like take her man and run. And I'm
wow.
Like, don't worry. The same thing that it was before. I didn't want him then. I don't want him now.
That is hilarious.
But I have not, had any phone calls, not seen him. And he just always looks guilty. The times that I've seen him, he just always looks like, shit, where can the ground needs to open up and swallow me. And
I guess he knows that he really messed up. And now it's on him. You know what a damn shame, for someone who was kind of defending, to say he's very focused and he knows exactly what he wants, for him to end up being a guy who's influenced by what his mom says. just discredits him completely.
Yeah.
And I guess you're not feeling him 100%. And I owe you an apology for being so hard on you and say, hey, why weren't you going for her? Right? I'm sorry. And this is not to appease my conscience. It's genuinely, I didn't know where the story was going. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't turn up to be the guy that we
No,
initially thought.
absolutely not. And I really don't know what else to say. He's kind of disrespectful. He couldn't respect you enough to, one, tell you that he's getting back with his ex. Two, to hide the fact that he was being so affectionate with her. Three, to not be man enough and not speak for what he wants and rather have his mom speak for you. And you know what? It's a good thing you're out of there and you came out with your head high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have done that if I had caused a scene at that event.
No, oh, yeah.
It would never, I would have always been that girl who really wanted me. And then, and I'm like, no, it's okay.
Nah, you've done really, really, really well for yourself. As far as the scenario goes. So they're still married, I guess?
I don't know, I haven't. The last time I bumped into them was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I assume they're still married. They had 2 children then, So I assume they're still married. I assume they're still living their life and enjoying their lives to whatever extent.
Well, 3 lessons came out of this episode, ladies and gentlemen. First one up: sometimes things aren't meant to be, and it's okay, and it's very okay in this instance. Number 2: enjoy what's enjoyable and leave what's not. When you made the comment that you were in here just for fun and just to have a good time, I'm glad you were in there just for a good time, even though I didn't get it initially, and I was like, nah, what's why even bothering? Yeah. Going in there for the good time was more beneficial than you investing your heart and emotion 100% because this guy's mom would have said something different and he wouldn't have cared about you anyway.
Yep.
So you pretty much enjoyed what you could enjoy. And then last but not least, it's not enough to ask just the right questions, listen to the answer and read in between the lines. And I guess that's reading in between the lines of what he was saying to you before. And now the penny dropped when all of this came to light.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, Gugu, for your story and very, very insightful lessons.
Pleasure.
And for those listening to this episode of The Feeling Station, I hope that we catch you in next weekend's episode. And I'm your host, Tinto, and I'm signing out.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Sati's on Daro Raini and Chake
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Sati's on Daro Raini and Chake
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.
Kujidziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.